Nigeria. The D-Day is finally here. Time check, it is 2 minutes past 8 o'clock. The D-Day, as I said, is here. Welcome to Boiling Point Arena. My name is GAIUS AMAKOROMO, and it's a pleasure to have you join us for another edition of this important national conversation. For you who's joining us for the first time on the program, Boiling Point Arena is a monthly discourse designed to ignite meaningful conversations around governance, leadership, accountability, and the collective responsibility of nation building in Nigeria. Tonight's edition promises to be particularly significant. Our focus is on the proposed amendments to Nigeria's electoral law and the broader implications these reforms may have on the credibility, transparency, and successful conduct of future elections. Electoral reforms remain central to strengthening democratic institutions and restoring public confidence in the electoral process. And as such, the issues we examine tonight are not just political, they are foundational to the future of Nigeria's democracy. So please fasten your seatbelts as we prepare to explore the critical questions surrounding these reforms. At this point, it is my honor to invite the convener of Boiling Point Arena, Dr. AYO AROWOJOLU, to steer the direction of this all-important conversation tonight. Dr. Ayo.
Thank you, girls. Hello and welcome.
Our first distinguished guest tonight is Dr. MU'AZU Babangida Aliyu, former Governor of Niger State and a seasoned public administrator, born in Minna in 1955. He began his career as a teacher before earning a degree in education from Bayero University, Kano, and later a PhD in public policy and strategic studies from the University of Pittsburgh in the United States. He served as Federal Permanent Secretary from 1999 to 2007 before becoming Governor of Niger State from 2007 to 2015, where he became widely known for his philosophy of servant leadership, preferring the title Chief Servant instead of the traditional His Excellency. Joining us as well is OTUNBA Segun Showunmi, a Nigerian politician, political strategist, and public affairs analyst from Abeokuta in Ogun State. He is the convener of the Alternative Movement, a civic political platform promoting citizen participation and political reform. Known for his strong commentary on national issues, he is also a consistent advocate against vote buying and political apathy. Recently declared his intention to contest the Ogun State governorship in the 2027 elections. With us tonight again is Professor OLUGBENRO OYEKAN, a professor of practice in management and finance and an academic entrepreneur with interest in economic innovation and social development. He is associated with the University of Oxford as a research fellow and currently serves as Dean at the International School of Management in Lagos. He is also the author of Academic Integrity, Study and Guide, a publication recommended by the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council. Gentlemen, good to have you join us tonight on Boiling Point Arena. Welcome.
Thank you very much, guys. Here is
8 years and all of that. Now, talking about credible democracy, let's talk about democracy itself. Do you believe Nigeria is practicing true democracy? If yes, how is it? Let's begin from there.
You see, when we throw words sometimes, some people are right to believe that it was intended for another reason. It was intended to give advantage to a particular political party. I had, or I read somewhere where somebody said, "Oh, it was not APC that did it; it was the National Assembly that did it." Fine. What is the ratio of APC members in the National Assembly? And so far, this National Assembly, what has it been doing since its inauguration? I think we need to look at those issues. But for me, that is not even my concern at the moment. My concern at the moment is to say that we have delayed many things. For example, and I know we'll get to that. For example, if you take the cancellation of delegates convention or delegates conferences, for me, I have been asking the question because I have been to many and I have seen always the highest bidder was always getting nominated. And it became like really a jamboree or where people really use money. I had a situation which I always remember. In one of the congresses we had, a wood seller in the village came as a delegate. And in the process, she was able to make about 900,000 naira. And she came to me straight and said, "Tanba, when are we going to have this again?" I said, "Well, in the next 4 years." She said, "Are you going to select me?" I said, "I didn't select you. You were selected by your people in your local government." Then she said to me, "Do you know the money I made now is more than the money I will have made selling wood in 6 months?" So that sent message to me that we have a problem on the ground. So for me, that area, and from 1999 to date, all the political parties should have seen this and should have, in fact, started the direct primaries. Even though that is not also a perfect, but is better than where you see directly people buying individuals and even delegates fighting at the local level to get to the Congress so that they could make money. So it's very, to me, yes, this is, if you look at all the issues that have been amended, it is true that because of the timing, because of the way and manner it was implemented, or the act came about, and some of the issues that will make it difficult for some political parties to fulfill before that time. And if you look at another issue now, I was saying to some people, I said, well, our party could wait to have primaries at the last moment so that those who might have lost in other parties could now come and join us. But lo and behold, now that has even been stopped again. It's not possible with the way and manner things are being done through this same act. So maybe temporarily, because this is temporary reform for the purpose of 2027 elections only, I believe, because by then there will be another reform, if you will, of the act. So for now, yes, I believe that it was done purposely to really hedge some political parties. And if you notice what has been happening to opposition all over, then you will know that, yes, there are some truth, but like I said, there are some good things that I have noticed in the reform that for me, I would support gladly. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Indeed, some critics say the process was rushed. Mr. Otumba, many Nigerians were disappointed that the original push for mandatory real-time results transmission was watered down. So one of the strongest public demands has been for real-time electronic transmission of polling unit results to boost transparency. Now, the government says otherwise, citing glitches, network issues, and infrastructure readiness. Do you share in these concerns?
Thank you very much. First things first, I do not accept the idea that a nation practicing democracy needs an electoral act every 4 years. One of the challenges of this rather ridiculous style is that every act you take to the field, you are going to be learning it for the first time. And the experiences you got by using that act, instead of you to purge yourself, reform yourself, prepare yourself, block the loophole you saw in the last act, we will also be canvassing and asking for a new act, and then we're back to the same learning to learn the act again when it comes. I do not accept that. I think it's quite unfortunate that that's where we are now, and I pray and hope that we'll settle down on the issue of the act. Some of the things that are supposed to be done by reorientation are what we're trying to do by judgment. And papers don't implement themselves. People do. That's the first thing I want to say. In terms of the electronic transmission of results, I think it's a little bit funny why people must think that not running electronic voting, which would have meant that immediately you thumbprint, it flies away via a kit and straight to the server, that you will vote manually, vote on paper, put it in a box, empty the box manually, sort it manually, count it manually, and then you will record it somewhere. And now you will record it in the form PCA. The desire of the people is that that form now should pop maybe by electronic transmission or photocopying or whatever, go straight into the box. But imagine for a second if those who wrote that act were not clever enough to safeguard the process. Imagine for a second someone took that box and smashed it on the ground, and then we don't have any record of what we've just done, and then what's going to become of us. Imagine for a second that in the course of moving it from one location to the other, they come up with their thuggish behavior and, human error and the kinds of things our people are capable of doing. What will become of us? Imagine for a second that somebody who is able to track a bank and manipulate the bank. Some other countries can give you black ops that will interfere with it. What will become of us? I think for me, the only area of the act that I don't like is actually the one that Babangida Aliyu seems to like, which is that I don't like the fact that the choice of how parties should pick their delegates has now been basically straitjacket to one side. I don't like that. I feel that for you to have democracy, when the parties are not of equal strength, their positions must be, you shouldn't have eliminated it, because the other act allowed you, even though to do either direct, indirect, or consensus. The fact that you are removing the indirect completely doesn't make sense to me. That's one. Number two, I do not accept that the political parties in Nigeria, not even the APC, have matured enough to be able to say that they can bring an electronic register of their own, and that the credibility of that register can be validated on the day of the election. It's almost as if every political party now needs to create its own BVAS, so that we'll be able to validate that the person that is standing before us to vote is the person that was registered. What happens if you register and say in your ward, for instance, you have 200 people, and on the day of the election, I go to the market, hire any 200 hirelings, bring them to the game? Who's going to validate that? You are asking the political parties to come up with the kinds of infrastructure that even INEC itself, with all of the money we give them, is struggling to use. But hey, like I said, what we are trying to do is select representatives to lead the nation. If we had been a country that agreed that consequence on those who lead, or those who have been allowed to lead, were going to be strongly applied, we would have found out that a lot of people who have no interest or no business trying to lead nations would have dropped by the way. What we have created in our country is a system that gives everybody the impression that by virtue of being in politics, you are then automatically going to have access to the till, which will then make you have so much money, which nobody is going to quarrel with you for or even audit you. And for a nation where people have their fans quarrel anytime they are asked to come and give account of their stewardship, are you then surprised that the ones in the Senate and the National Assembly who are passing and writing acts are not thinking through of what the actual day of the vote will look like? They're not thinking through how much money it costs big parties and how much will it cost small parties to produce the same data and the electronic thing. They have written the act in a manner they know how to write. I don't believe they were working to the answer of the ruling party. I think that anybody can beat anybody in election. The Electoral Act by which we did the election in 2015 that got Buhari to beat PDP was not an electoral act that they had any major ruling. And the ruling party cannot be responsible for the idea that members of our own party who are in the National Assembly and the Senate will become so irresponsible and unconscientious that all of them in one day will just sweep into the ruling party, and before you know it, you have a fait accompli where even if tomorrow morning they get up and say they want to change the name of the country, literally to be possible. If tomorrow morning they get up and say they want to put top 10, that which Obasanjo could not even achieve, the absolute majority that is in their hands, with about 31 governors jumping from their own party to the ruling party, that is really where the danger of democracy is. As far as I'm concerned, electronic transmission of results is a risky thing without backing it up by paper. And the Act did not say you can't put it electronic. The Act really did not about the fact that if you record it on Form CAT, that paper too is still legal. Hey,
thank you, OTUNBA SEGUN. You made a point there, and I almost agreed with you. But I have a problem with that.
What is that?
Are we now to assume that Nigerians were deceived, or we are talking as a result of experience? By this time, 3-4 years ago, in the build-up to the 2023 election, INEC presented a budget before the National Assembly, and they asked for humongous amount of money. If you read the lips of the then INEC chairman, Mahmoud Yakubu, very well, he did say that, you know, that was the election we started using bypass and all this. Now, he did say that the Nigerians will see the votes literally entering into the IRF, talking about real-time online transmission. I'm not sure that full disclosure was made to the Nigerian people. So when that one failed, they now started talking about well, it's not in the law. The laws stated. You see, the power of narratives. I know that people can talk either way. Don't you think that either that there was no full disclosure made, or that Nigerians were just purely deceived?
No, I think that if you ask me, that error that happened in the last election was occasioned by the then director of publicity of INEC. He was the one who fed the narrative space with that heavy boost and almost reduced an election process to just that one event. You must understand that the election is not just one event. The election is a bit of a process. From the minute where you go and collect the voting materials, your agent should validate that it's not been tampered with. To the point where they set up the equipment, they should be able to validate. From the minute where they verify the quantity of voters' cards and what they call it, voting ballot paper, they should validate. From the minute when they start the actual accreditation, you see that even on that accreditation, although there's an IRF, there's also a paper that they take. From the minute when, you know, the point I'm making really is that these processes are all processes that are required to go seamlessly. The one event that could give people the impression that something untoward has happened was the actual electronic movement. But remember that for you to really have a seamless electronic transmission and all of that, you will require a process that is so without human interference. Maybe you have a box, that same box where you get validated for your accreditation would also bring out the symbols of the party. You will electronically touch it and it will fly by a fly-away kid, almost like when you are taking money from your app in the bank. It can be done, but they don't have that capability just yet. And so by the time they were boasting and bragging that they can do it, it was only pleasant in the mouth of the former man The law at that time did not say they were compelled to do it. Those who crafted the law crafted it because they know that it would be damn too risky. We may find ourselves in a situation where we have spent a lot of money, we have run through the whole process, and everything is lost. And then we have to start again, and that will just bring unnecessary chaos. So as a backup position, they gave INEC that discretionary power. And the fact that people who did not win the elections, or who came short in the election, cannot do an introspection to explain to themselves where did they win, where did they lose, what could they have done differently. Okay. They were just happy to go to town, claiming what, when they got to court, they couldn't validate. And that singular last election ended us robbing us of the integrity of our processes in INEC, and also even robbed us of the integrity of our courts, because people just assumed that once they came into court, they must automatically win. And even if they did not prosecute their cases diligently, they had an imagination in their mind, and they energized young people to sit on social media and be screaming that they won what they really don't want. And I repeat again, the fact that Muhammadu Buhari in 2015 defeated our party, my Babangida Aliyu's party, I don't know whether he's left now, defeated us by an electoral act. Okay, fine. Defeated us by an electoral act that was not written by them already tells us that the pathway to election victory is actually sensitization of the people and getting them for turnout. Okay. Any other thing is gibberish. Any other thing is gibberish.
Thank you. We really need to move very fast. Let me go to Professor OLUGBENRO OYEKAN. The real kernel of the matter is how can we make the votes of the Nigerian people count? And by that, we will say, how can we stop rigging? You recall that Beavers was a little bit of improvement. In time past, people will stop the ballot box with all manner, and you can, but this time around, it's not easy, although we still see some, painted documents where you see a number of accredited votes, maybe you see 200. A number of votes counted, you see 1,000. Let me ask you pointedly, how can we make, the votes of Nigerians to count? It's because their votes are not counting, that's why there is voter apathy. Then how can we stop rigging? Almost every politician, that's what they say in their parliament, say every politician want to rig. They even say every politician they rig during, or all the parties rig during election. It's just that they have to rig one another. You being not a politician, I'm not sure you really be familiar with that. But let's hear your thoughts. Thank you, Professor OYEKAN. Please unmute Professor OYEKAN. Have we lost connection? Let's get Professor OYEKAN. Oh. Okay. As we wait for him, maybe I should parry the question to the chief servant if we have not. Oh, is Professor OYEKAN okay? Let's have your thoughts.
Is he back?
Okay. I parry the question to you, chief servant.
Oh, thank you. Now, rigging is a sign of desperation. And like my friend OTUNBA said, when politicians feel that to be in politics is simply to make money and to steal money, then you have a problem there. Because the people that are selected, either for the election purposes or as representatives, all are there in terms of how much they are likely to make. So when people, and the vote by, maybe we should marry it with the vote by, because people now have become into a situation where they will ask you for money directly before voting. You don't have to even ask them whether to buy, but they will ask you for what to give them.
Sorry, Chief Servant, is it or the other way around? Vote sellers and vote buyers. If there is no offer, there will not be anybody who wants to buy.
No, but we have created a situation where the offer is already on the ground, like I told you earlier on. Now, elections, members or those who are elected are not doing what they are supposed to do for their constituents. Whether governors or presidents or whatever, the situation has become so difficult that people now have lost confidence in governance. Or rather, many people have lost confidence in governance. Therefore, they will want the gratification that they could see at a go. And therefore, the buyer and the seller is right. They have already made up their mind what they want. So if we take that and see the rigging, is that it doesn't have to be stopping the ballot box. It is already in the process. People for a simple cloth, 4 yards of cloth, or 20 naira, 40 naira, 50 naira, people will go for and vote for you because they think that that is what they will get at that time, and they will never see you again until the next round of elections. But if we are going to do what we are supposed to do, what we swear, I had to hold the Quran to say I will treat all manners of people, I will do this, I will do that. But people forget when they get into offices. And therefore, people have lost confidence in the process. And ours now is to ensure, and unfortunately even some of our religious leaders are also now involved. They collect money, they start campaigning indirectly, either in the mosques or in their preaching places and co. So, for us to be able to do that, we need a leadership that will come. I don't know where it will come from, but we need a leadership that will show to the people that, look, I am here. I have been taxed by my being, by my creator, to make sure that I'm being tested by the position given to me. And therefore, I will account, whether I account to the people or not. A day of reckoning, to some of us who believe, a day of reckoning will come where you will account and there will be no witnesses, there will be no SAM. There will be you and what you have already done. And I was reading, one former governor was saying that you cannot go to hellfire because of political issues. And I shook my head. I really felt so disappointed how a former governor could say that. And I read it through again and again to be sure that I did not misquote it. And look, if a former governor can think that way, what about the other people that are down there? So for me, how can we stop rigging? Is that all the parties that are involved must be very competitive enough, must make sure that the people that they select for elections are good enough to make sure the people that are going to vote understand what is happening on the ground. What are we looking for? What kind of leadership do we want? That is now, we go back to how our leaders emerge in the process. If we are able to do that, we will not be talking of rigging, because already, I was saying on Sunday, I had an interview with one of the newspapers, and I said, in 1983 alone, I ran for the House of Representatives. And believe me, almost everywhere I went, because of my name, people will say, oh, is he not the son of so? His grandfather did this, his father did that. Therefore, please, you don't have to waste your time here with us. You have already, we are going to vote for you. Now that is the kind of thing we should be looking forward to. A person's character that people understand and know, so that we will go through. But now that we have become mercantile, we have become more in terms of monetary, I don't want to use such words now, but now that the level of our thinking has gone so down that we are looking for immediate gratification. We will now see what the elections will be in 2027, and I think the next 4 years we will reorganize, we will go out, and a party doesn't have to say, I must win this election, but that I must organize properly to have the right kind of people that will emerge in the process.
Yes.
Professor Olusbenro, if you're there with us, please, I'd like to ask you this question. Now, let's talk about critics. Some critics argue that constant amendment of electoral laws can create uncertainty and and distrust, if that is not already happening. Now, do you think there should be kind of like a cut-off period beyond which the law cannot be amended before a major election? Or what would you recommend?
Okay, thank you. I don't think so. The earliest time an amendment could be made is 4 years. And when we look at it, why are the reforms necessary?
Okay.
The reforms are meant to help us consolidate on the experiences of the past. All right? So, but in a situation where we notice that rather than consolidate, we are regressing, that could be a good reason for reforms or amendments to become more often than, they should be. So, to say that when reforms or when amendments become too often, they make the electorate not believe in the system, I don't think it's exactly so. It depends on what is really happening. Because, as I said before, when you look at reform or amendment, it's not just about the Electoral Act. It's also about the people themselves. And I like the way Dr. Aliyu puts it. If a past governor comes and says, if you committed sin that is politically, it does not make you go to hell or heaven, it tells a lot about how that person perceives the entire thing. And as a society, until we really make the necessary adjustments in our value system, in the way we see elections, some electorates that see an opportunity to make 3,000 or 1,000 or 6 years of vote per 4 years, they are also part of the problem. So, constant review of Electoral Act, for me, does not really mean that people will not trust the process. I think it's a pointer to the fact that we still have a lot of problems we are dealing with. So, if we look at the entire electoral governance framework, from rulemaking to rule application to rule adjudication, you will note that we are still having a lot of problem with rulemaking, and that's why people say, oh, it must be online transmission, it must be this and that. Don't forget that beyond that, there is still the rule application. The electoral management body will be the one to apply those rules, and they will be the one to say, oh, this is right, this is wrong, this is how we do this. If we cannot trust the process of the rulemaking, and if we think the process of the rule application is also faulty, and at the same time, the final stage, which is the rule adjudication, if we don't have trust in that also, it leaves a lot to be desired. So it also means that continuing to amend our electoral laws is something we should expect until we get it right, provided that we think the intention for the reforms are good and they are not, a sort of gimmick for somebody to take advantage. From what we are seeing right now, even the people that are taking over the nation, they give up. What
we have a weak signal now. I don't know if you can adjust a little bit. We're unable to hear you clearly, Professor.
I think we can move over.
Hello, Professor, can you hear us?
I think we lost that connection there.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I want to answer Otumba's question, whether I've left.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, sorry, I think Professor Olubero is talking.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead. Professor.
Oh, we can't hear you now.
We're in the middle
Okay, go on. Go on.
of a lot of issues. Continue to make amendments. Tell us we are willing to consolidate.
All right, Professor, thank you very much. I think we'll have to bring you back on as we move forward because we're unable to really hear you clearly.
Yes, we'll come back to you, Professor Olubero. And I think Chief Servant was going to make a remark.
First question. Okay. I have been a PDP member since 1999. I have not moved because I believe it is not the movement. I have seen somebody who has moved to different parties 7 times and has not won the election. So I know it is God that will give you and the people. So I am still a member of PDP. I'm awaiting our appeal court decision.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. I wanted to quickly say something. Thank you very much. Consistency is actually the only way you build to last. All of the nations that we have seen that have done well relative to Africa, maybe relative to Nigeria, one thing has stood out in all their processes. They have been able to build consensus around almost all the important things that can allow them to settle down to deepening whatever law, whatever design, whatever economic agenda they are running. I do not accept that what human behavior, reorientation, and sure punishment should aid. We can do it by writing the law. People are saying that the most peaceful, free and fair election in this country was the June 12 election. To the best of my knowledge and my recollection, it was done by Option A4, where people were just lining up and you were counting them. And yet people still considered it to be free, fair, and credible.
Can we go back? Can we go back to that?
No, I'm just saying, we have introduced all sorts of innovations and improvements. The people that really operate with electoral laws are 3 of us. INEC, who is going to use it as the basis of organizing the activities, we the political parties, which are the politicians that are going to have to plan our activities as a result, and the courts who are going to have to adjudicate on our issues. The responsibility of the electorate is simply to come out and exercise their franchise. If these 3 very important critical stakeholders cannot even plan based on what is relative to them to hold via 2 seconds or 2 circles, now we've written another act now, when we go to implement, whatever it is that we're saying now, however fanciful, however academic, however beautiful, until we get to implementation before we see the teething problems. When we see the teething problems, instead of us to go and cure the defect, not necessarily, which is mostly not legal, which is mostly human interference, we would insist on another law. The next law to will come again maybe a month or 2 before starting primary. Look at the mess they've created now. We are expected to go and do primaries in the next 2 months. It will be very interesting to see whether all the electronic registers are in place. It will be interesting to see how we're going to do the counting. Some of the wards from some states, like my state, Ogun, we have 236 wards. Are we going to do it all at once? Who's going to deploy the manpower to do the counting? How do we bring it back to be sure that all members, it's not as easy as that at the point of implementation. The indirect primary, expensive as they may say it is, at least we know that we're generating delegates from the wards, and then we're bringing them into some kind of collegiate. And ordinarily, if we have improved the quality of men that are participating and showing interest in democracy, those kinds of people that are selling firewood should not be called upon to come and take a decision on what they know very little about how to evaluate. Plato, who commented on Socrates on democracy, they said that the inherent weakness of democracy is that you are asking people whom you've not trained, who are not educated enough, to come and take a decision and have equal number of rights to decide who is the presidential matter, when they don't even know what to look out for in the character. So when we are with it, we are struggling with it, people will be improving as they go along, but clearly, it is also part of the reason why you see that people are not staying in their political parties. They are hopping around like monkeys, looking for what is not lost, and what maybe God will not give them, simply because they believe that there is always a way to manipulate the process.
Right.
Without recognizing that it is the same you that will still come before the same people, and whatever they know of you or don't know of you is still going to be the same decision. So look, really, I've been in the system since they started. I've never left the party, never mind what most people jumping to the company, but it's not easy. It's not as if the system has done 100% for us. But hey, other nations in the world are building sustainable development even around their democracy. Their parties last long.
Okay.
It can't be a nation of people who every 4 years we need to be teaching our people new slogans. Don't make sense to me at all, and it never makes sense.
Okay, thank you. I'll be coming over to Professor Olugbenro, but let me veer this question to the chief servant. This election, Nigeria is going to spend a whopping amount, almost close to 1 trillion naira, because we are talking about, if the figures are right on my head, we're talking about something like 800 million naira or thereabouts. Some are saying, since many of you that are in the opposition are not quite settled very well as we speak, or since many people in the opposition are afraid of what is coming up in the bear parlor gossips, a lot of people say, why don't you even stop this election? Just do a kind of let my people go. That's on the one side. Looking at INEC's independence, INEC is constitutionally independent, but critics argue that the appointment process still ties it too closely to the executive arm of government. Looking at the humongous amount of money that could fix our electricity, fix so many things, the voter apathy that makes just only about 10% or thereabout of the voting population to vote. Could we just do a walkover? Let me just push it to you.
Thank you. No, we cannot do that. We have started a process. It will take some time to be entrenched, and no matter the amount of money, Otumba raised something without saying it directly. The problem with us is that the elites are fragmented. Many of the elites are now either regional or religious, or we are not thinking in terms of Nigeria as a nation. If the elites could come together, no matter whether it is a wood seller or a tap wine, sorry, what do you call these people? Whether it's a palm wine tapper, he will still do what the elites in his area have agreed that will be done. So, but if the elites are fragmented the way we are now, we will continue in this argument. Now, for me, what has been happening is intellectually I felt very, I'm a little happy that we are challenged now to do. Otumba will remember more than 3 or 4 chairmen of our party have been trying to do this electronic registration.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, we have not been able to do it. Now, if we start it, it means gradually we will do it. And with the way I saw the act, is that once you are there, you cannot go and do other things in another party. So, if we are strict about it, for me, is a foundation of how we can get along and how we can build on this issue. Yeah, people can be disappointed, but a process is not something that you come in a box and fix it. No, it is the people, and we have to gradually move on into that direction.
Professor OLUGBENRO, you had mentioned about the electorate. Now, technology alone can't fix every problem. You agree with me on that? And INEC itself has acknowledged that voter apathy and weak participation are bigger challenges than technology. How do you respond to that? Professor, can you hear us?
Are you sure Prof is there?
Let me ascertain from the technical team. Can you unmute Prof, or is Prof, have we lost him? Okay, I think throw it to...
Okay, so I'll throw this to Mr. OTUNBA, please. How do you respond to this?
How do you respond to what?
Voter apathy and weak participation are bigger challenges than technology.
I see.
INEC itself acknowledged this.
I see. Thank you very much. The danger of a single narrative that takes on a life of its own is that it could be believed. We kept on, politicians, opposition, media, we kept on pumping a lack of belief into the process to such a point that we wearied the electorate. And then because they are not getting properly served, and those who are serving them, who have come into office, have not really impressed them, never mind the fact that if we check the data, we have improved in certain areas that it's only a matter of time before you can know how much effort leaders have put in terms of electorate. But we kept demarketing the process. We kept demarketing those that have been elected. We kept saying that it will not count. We kept shouting about it. We kept insisting. And because that thing requires a little bit of effort for them to get up from their house, to go to the polling area, wait a few hours to get the process, the total amount of money we claim we are giving people is small for the elites. They won't even waste their time because of that type of money. So effectively, what we have created is that we have created a democracy where those who want to participate, the politician, come and meet the lowest of the rung of the ladder, who need that type of money and that type of resources, and then they will now come and pick leaders for people that are supposed to be the middle class leaders of society, who should have a lot of opinions as to directing their people, and it's all gone. That's why you see that even the conversation on the election is no longer issue-based. They do everything to avoid attending to media. They do everything to avoid debates. They do everything to avoid the real issues. They convert it into what they call empowerment, which is basically vote buying by another name. And before you know it, more and more questionable people with questionable money and questionable character began to seize hold of it. And those who seize hold of it, immediately they get into the office, either as rep or whatever title, you see them running around as like hustlers, looking for who's going to give them money. Ideally, that nonsense we call consensus project should go away from our laws, because it is not the responsibility of legislators to be competing with the executive. But we have turned everything upside down. And now everybody is now designing the law to suit their advantage. For instance, I'm reliably informed that they removed that indirect primaries because senators and reps felt that it gave governors an undue advantage, and that since they were already doing empowerment, going to the electorate to make it easier for them. People don't write laws for their nation only thinking about themselves. The man who fought and built America to become an independent nation They asked him, oh, Washington, now you have won the war. Do we coronate you? Said, no, I want it for you people. Let us return it back to the people. And eventually they then still did democracy. Look, Africa is not a new continent. No. We may have been calling ourselves Nigeria now. We have always existed. We cannot be pretending as if time is a commodity that one generation will waste, the next generation will waste. Look at us. Those who call themselves politicians in 1983 when Babangida Aliyu was talking, do you know the quality of men that were even calling themselves politicians? Do you know the quality of conversations they were having? They are talking about people like Aminu Kano, Waziri Ibrahim, our Wanko. Look at the people that are masquerading around now. Just look at them. So if we do not figure out a way to go back to our families, that means going back to our wards, to let people understand that not coming out to vote, they have already voted. Because by not coming out to vote, they have deprived us of the collective will we need to give somebody a significant mandate that can allow us to allow it to work. If somebody has a 90 million voter collection, and then you are winning an election with less than 9 million votes, where's everybody else on the election?
Who do we blame now? The people or the government?
No, but I'm espousing it.
Okay.
We need to go back to our people, reinterrogate them, and encourage them to understand that it's not their business to worry about all these reasons.
I know, hold it, Otunba. The people are saying they will go to vote. Politicians want them to sit with their vote and ensure they stay there. Government people or politicians will put the vehicles marked in official number plates. If it is, let me use one, if it is Kwara, for example, say you see one number plate, KWGH. That vehicle dropped some miscreants. They go there, shoot, They snatch the thing and entered into, maybe the vehicle dropped them up nearby, they took Okada, they snatched ballot box. People who are wounded, there were gunshots, this thing, and you now saw them, they entered one government vehicle that carries them about. People are already wise. They are saying that, yes, you want us to come and vote for them. It's good for us to vote, yes, but our life should not be endangered. Can we look at security?
One generation got us out of slave trade. If they were thinking like this, we won't be out of slave trade, though. One generation got us out of military rule. If they were thinking like this, they won't get us out of military rule, though. This generation, their duty is to come and exercise their civic duty of voting. Are they going to be coming up with excuses for everything? Okay, they don't want to come out and vote, then they should not complain after the election. They can leave it to a party of just a few handful of politicians and a few handful of their miscreants, and let them go and vote, and then let us have some way. Some nations are not running democracy. They are not running multi-party democracy in China, and they are doing progress. They are not doing progress. We must encourage our people to show up and vote.
Okay. Thank you very much, Otunba Showunmi. Okay.
Hello?
Yes, go on.
I think that.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm back. I hope you can hear me.
Okay, loud and clear.
I think Otunba Showunmi had just mentioned the issue I was about raising when the network came up. Now, it's good to have reforms, but beyond reforms, we need very serious electoral education for the whole electorate, for politicians. Can you hear me?
Okay, you are back.
I was muted. So there is need for a wholesome education. The people who are voting, majority of them think that election is an opportunity for you to earn some money. And so when they are given that peanut by politicians who are obviously taking advantage of their ignorance, they feel happy and they go back to sleep. thinking that in another 4 years, there will be another opportunity. I think what we need to be thinking more about is how do we get to really, and also we also talked about the quality of people. We have a lot to do in terms of educating the people, the politicians themselves, the electorates, the INEC, and everybody needs to move beyond where we have found ourselves right now. We have lost a lot in terms of our value. We have lost a lot in terms of our morality. We can't blame anybody for that. Everybody has one role or the other to play. But if you talk about what we really need to do, I think there is need for sincere reorientation of people to elections and to voting. People really need to understand that politicians, especially the smart ones, are taking advantage of the stage where we are right now. And they continue to do that until we help these people, every one of us, to understand that the current situation is not in our best interest. And it doesn't matter how many reforms we do, even in a year, even if we do reforms every month, as long as the people who are casting the votes don't know any better than what they are doing right now, we're not going to get any results. Thank you.
Chief Servants, the conversation around public confidence and participation has been ongoing, and Nigeria's voter turnout has been historically low. Could there be an advantage? Professor Olusgbenro just mentioned, but he didn't really clarify. But could there be an advantage to political actors when majority of the people back down and do not participate?
Before I...
Okay. I think you want to maintain...
It's for the Chief Servant, sir. Please, go ahead.
There is another dimension to the apathy itself,
okay,
apart from the people. The performance of governors. When during the campaign we raise the hopes of the people, and during governance we do little. And people see those who steal money, people see somebody who had no bicycle, suddenly being sworn in, he had all the Range Rovers in this world. That also sends signals to the common people and say, we are looking for water, we are looking for electricity, we are looking for good schools, and there are no good schools, no electricity, no water, therefore why waste our time? So it's a symbiotic relationship between already what the level of morality and the values that we have, and also the performance of governance. And in terms of voter education, that is where political parties come in. The reorientation and co. You don't have to wait until elections for you to start campaigning. No, the campaign must be on and off the season and whatever, so that people understand and have confidence in their own party. But where you have people who simply look at this politics in terms of they're either winning elections or making money, then they move from one party to the other. Because, again, you have not been able to educate the right people or your members to know what to expect and what to do when the right time comes.
Okay.
So we have,
please go on,
have to look at it in different directions to make sure that we make the corrections. If the governance keeps going lower than expected, yes, people will become disillusioned. Why should I waste my time? And yes, there is advantage for those who are, maybe put it this way, those who have the money to spend, or those who are popular enough that when certain people do not come out, they may win the election. There is an advantage for them that they do. And the Electoral Commission should also now pay attention. They also should not wait until either the act or when elections come. They should also now have people reorientation programs so that people will know what to expect of INEC and people will know what to do when elections come. But everybody waits until elections period. And notice one thing, local government elections. When I was a governor, I had, out of my 25 local governments, I had 8 local governments that were not PDP. And I was happy. And in the assembly, I had more than 9 members out of 27 that were from the opposition party. And I was getting more support from those in the opposition party. While I thought we should be liberal enough to allow other people, but if you look at the local government elections, virtually in every state now, every governor is wary of allowing opposition to stay around. Look at mention any governor that has conducted an election. You will notice that 100%, including councillors, only in FCT that we have been able, even though the man had gone, I understand the PDP man has gone back to APC, but whatever it is, at least in FCT, the PDP has been able to do something with all the intimidation and with all the threats that were coming from a particular area. So we need to understand this. And I thought also the election in FCT should also give people something to study, to understand what is there. Because in FCT, even though, yes, we have some local people, but the FCT electorates are mostly educated people that understand the processes and understand the implication of the elections. But what was the percentage of those who participated? Less than 11% out of 100%. So that is not right. We should take all the other issues the professors mentioned, the orientation, they mentioned the value change and co. Then we also need to educate ourselves even at the party level to know that party is supposed to aggregate the interest of the people and going for the election. And that you go to election, win or lose, you have participated. That is the most important.
No, it's not a do or die.
It's not a do or die thing. After all, you will die.
Thank you very much. We are gradually getting to a point whereby we go to the floor for interaction. But I'm not leaving you yet. Let me ask you this question, two servants. Let's talk about judiciary and electoral justice. Nigeria's elections often end up in prolonged litigation. Should the Electoral Act be amended to limit judicial interference or streamline electoral dispute resolution? A situation whereby A wins the election, he takes number 1, he scored, he had the highest vote, B is there, the next C is there, and you now pick somebody who is a long distance number 4, and the court now so pronounced.
I saw a young girl in this TikTok or somewhere. She said only in Nigeria, number 4 will become number 1. So whatever that means, that we know that, look, we have a problem because you cannot have one section being honest, the other section is being rotten. When the rot comes, it permeates the whole society. And the judiciary are also members of the society. Even though by their training and by their profession, we expect them to be better than other people. And that's why traditionally, like the British system, they don't interact very much with the population. But then, they also went to the same school, they go to the same market, they have the same role in the family and co. And they participate in the, like you talked about the buyer and the seller the other side. You remember when we were talking about this buying of votes.
Yes, sir.
So, people who are not offering, the judicial officer will not ask. But because they offer, we have a minister in the present government that seems to specialize in corrupting some judges. So we need to be careful so that we don't blame all of them at a go. But we need to pay attention also to what is happening in that direction. There are many channels where we can get them to really understand. And I saw in the Act too that there are some few places where now the courts have been restricted from getting involved in the party issues, from talking about other issues. I don't know whether that is really good for the progression of politics and democracy. But at least now they understand that the society is becoming concerned with what is happening also in the judiciary. And I hope that as we go along, we have been talking of the learning process. As we go along, people will now begin to know that, look, election is like any other thing. It's like an examination. Some people get first class. Others get 2-1, 2-2. In fact, those who, it appears, who get third class tend to do better in the society than those who are getting first class in the university. But you cannot everything litigate. After you have analyzed your situation, unless where you see a direct, like when you talk about number 1 and number 2 and number 3, or A, B, C, D, and then D becomes A, that is really a questionable thing. And in this country, I saw an election where a governor used helicopters to frighten people, and nothing happened. No question, nothing has happened to him, and in fact, he is thinking of running for another election. So, this is our problem, and we have to understand it. We have to take it. Those of us who are honest enough should be able to face the society and teach those who are not honest enough to appreciate. But I come back to the same thing that I was talking about, of which OTUNBA also raised, the fragmentation of the elites. I'm in one platform, this WhatsApp platform, the Eminent Elders Group. Sometimes when I read certain articles or write-ups, I become so discouraged, thinking, am I really in Nigeria that I am hoping that Nigeria will be one, and therefore we will do this and that and achieve this? Or am I really dreaming? So, yes, there should be not too much litigation, but again, we also need to appreciate what is happening at the judiciary and to also suggest what should happen.
Okay, thank you very much. Gradually, we're going to the floor for interaction. You are also part of us here. For those on Zoom, just indicate by a raise of hand. We will take as much as possible. Then we'll also go to the phone lines. GAIUS, tell us about the phone lines, the studio number to call.
All right, you can join the conversation by calling 0704 100 7949, 0704 100 7949, or 0906 0992609. WhatsApp line is 0915 849 4949. If you're able, you can also send us a voice note there. Now we'll go back to the Zoom. We have a few hands raised already.
Okay. So which one do we go?
We'll go with Francis.
Okay.
Please unmute Francis.
Oh, Professor Francis. Okay.
Well, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. It has been a very interesting topic.
Your name, please. Your name.
I'm Francis Fadile.
Professor Fadile. Okay.
Yes, Professor Fadile from Ondo State.
Welcome.
The area I want to look at is the area that we discuss on voters' apathy. I tend to have a different view. Maybe we may not need to talk so much about that percentage, because if you look at our voters' card, or register. We have a voters register that is very, very, we have so many names there that we know that they are bogus. And I see that once the beavers had come into play, we are now seeing the actual numbers of people who are now voting. If you remember, in a particular year, in one state in the South, they recorded over 101% voters of those who are there. But you can't see that in beavers. In beavers, you are now seeing maybe 30%, 40%, and I believe it's a reflection of the actual number of people who are there. So for us to now be talking about voters' apathy, we really need to go back to the denominator, which is the voters register. But importantly, I want to agree with the former governor of Niger State. The people, especially the elite, need to reduce the discordant tunes that confuses the populace in knowing where to go. Because what I have seen is that because the elite have not come together, which I agree totally with him, that let us face this democracy in such a way that we want to educate our people and not trying to send things that will segregate us more. So I think those two areas can help in getting the actual voting and the proper voting process. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so the numbers again, 0906-0992609 or 0704 100 7949. We have another hand raised, Umar Sani. Please keep your questions brief.
Can you unmute Umar Sani? Just a moment there. Our technical team, Umar Sani, is waiting to be unmuted. Oh, okay. Let's see which one can you do very quickly. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. In 2015, the card reader was used as, a means of authenticating voters.
Sorry, Umar Sani, you didn't introduce yourself properly.
My name is Umar Sani.
Yes.
Speaking from Abuja.
Okay, that's all right.
Thank you. In 2015, the card reader was used as a means of authentication of voters. But when the number of accredited voters was raised as being the authentic number of people who voted in the election and was taken all through the courts, the lower courts agreed, but the Supreme Court said that the card reader was not a means of supplanting the voters register. As such, it is the voters register that will prevail. Now, with the new Electoral Act, which now gives voters one side, it says electronic voting is permitted, and then another one is saying, in the case of failure of a network, the from EC8A will be used. Now, in the event that there is overvoting using the voters register, and then the beavers is giving a new figure, what happens to the result of the election? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's take two more and we'll come back.
Okay, please, can you unmute Yemi?
Yemi.
Kindly make your contributions brief and short so we can move on. We do not have a lot of time.
Please unmute a person.
0704 100 That's the number for you to call, or 0906 099260. I see your calls coming in and going off at the same time. Please keep trying until it gets here. Please unmute Oyeyemi for us.
In the meantime, we can get the responses. Let's go to OTUNBA SEGUN to respond to some of the questions that have been asked. Then we'll go back to those whose hands are raised for questions.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay. Please quickly, person Oyeyemi.
Good evening. Good evening, my leaders. I'm a person from Ondo State.
You have the floor.
I came in late, but
please,
the little I grabbed when
your thoughts, then we'll take a call now.
Just hold your thought first. Hold your thought.
All right.
Hello?
Hello.
Good evening, please go ahead. Your name and your location, please.
My name is Bruno.
Bruno, please, can you speak up a bit? Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Bruno.
Okay.
I am calling from MU'AZU.
You have the floor.
Now, they talked about voters' apathy. If you go through certain people and ask them why that apathy, they will tell you that our votes don't count, which is true. Apart from leaving your house to where you are going to vote, in spite of inconveniences, because they will close down everywhere, there will be no transport. You still get to the polling booth, search out your name, and at the end of it all, they bring out the form and fill petition results. Why will I go to vote some other time when I know my vote will not count? Now, like one of the speakers said, desperation on the part of the politicians has really caused a lot of havoc in this country. However, if we don't fight this dangerous trend, we will not get to anywhere. And when we have garbage in, garbage out, that's why we have this country dying, because people who are ready to work for free or for free are not allowed to get in there. Look at what is happening now. Everybody is moving to one party system. They are assured of positions, and they are already prepared that they are going to reach themselves in. So what is going to happen? Then why should I go and waste my time, my money, going to polling booths?
Thank you very much, Bruno.
Thank you. While we wait to meet a person, there are some messages there. This is from Kabiyesi Oba Charles Olajide. An interesting discussion. I believe that as we talk about these anomalies, or I dare say our peculiar situation, things will start getting better, because talking about it brings awareness. Thank you. This one is from Barry, from the Shobinke from Canada. Can we ever have credible elections in Nigeria? If yes, how? If no, why? Is lack of credibility not one of the reasons for voters' apathy? Yes, thank you. Those are the pending questions. Can you unmute a person, Oyeyemi? Or whoever is next before we go back to our guests for their roundup? A person, Oyeyemi Fafoluyi, are you still there?
Also have Salisu.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Quickly.
Thank you very much. I think I'm a person, like I also said the other time, from Ondo State. I think the major issue is that when our hope as a citizen is being dashed after voting,
and there's nowhere to run to. The courts now being the avatars of the citizen is another problem. When people lost interest in the system and they think courts will help them, and all manners of judgment and injunction coming from our court is another problem. So people get tired because they don't trust the system any longer. And this attitude of we not take it up is a major challenge, like we are already seeing now in Nigeria. That the situation where people foresee that, okay, if you are not in the ruling party, there's no even need for you to contest for election at all. Because some people like now themselves see the INEC as appendices of the government. They are not independent enough. And these are the issues that's giving us problems, where at times the INEC will be playing some cards as if they are the one campaigning for others by other parties in power. So the only thing I can see is our elite, especially the former this and former that, as we call them, can come together again to fight the institution, to make sure that those people do actually what they are being programmed to do. Until that, this apathy of the thing will continue, because as it is now, if you look at the number, the demography of people voting is reducing on daily basis, and people are no longer interested in voting. And people will tell you that the election result has been written.
Wrap up your thoughts. Hello? Just wrap up your thoughts.
All right. Thank you very much. So, in this kind of situation, I think we still need to do more of voters' education, especially in the rural areas. Especially in the rural areas. The elites are not helping matters by staying indoors. Most of them will criticize, will talk in this way that we are talking. And even on the election day, they don't go out too. Even the people in the rural area at times still rely on the elites to give them direction of voting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very quickly, we go back to our guests. I think we are starting from OTUNBA SEGUN this time around. People say, go and vote, but life is getting excruciating every day. The fuel price now is something else, and yes, you'll be quick to say this is Iran-induced, but are there not things they could do to, as a safety net for local people? The way it's going, if it becomes 2,000 naira, then we will now also be saying, is Iran, is the crisis there? But what do I know? OTUNBA SEGUN, just try and do a roundup.
Well, what I would say is this. We have created one major problem for ourselves in this country. And that problem is that we seem to always discuss development in the country only from the office of the president and from the person of the president. If you will be fair, we have created an arrangement now in the country where local governments are getting far more money, and therefore you will expect people to be more interested in what kind of people are local government chairmen. Governors that are in the middle tier are really the ones that can develop the middle class of any society. But when you look at the conversation we have and our reason for apathy, it always seems to be that the outcome of the presidential election, one way or the other, depending on what our desires are, is what colors us. That's the first thing I'll say. The second thing I will say is that we are a rather pessimistic and negative people. If you look at the newspaper headlines of this day for the last 30 years, just go around, you'll find out that the conversation in our country is always, oh, it's empty, oh, it's empty, oh, it's empty. But when you go and do the actual audit, how many kilometers of road did we have in 99? How many do we have now? How many primary health care systems did we have in Nigeria? How many do we have now? How many hospitals do we have? How many do we have now? How many houses? How many cars? You will find out that because of the way we tend to be excruciatingly negative even about our situation, we make people believe that the system is not working. Forgetting that this system is not designed to give everybody money in their hand. The system is flexible enough, it's open enough, it's available enough for those of our people of ideas to interrogate. Private sector people who hitherto have no money are doing exceedingly well. We have created the biggest billionaires in Africa by miles in this country. And the people that are civil servants mostly don't have the previous challenge of no salary. Pensioners no longer have those kinds of challenges. If we just kept seeing that the glass is half full, then we'll encourage our people to be more interested in the issues. And when they show more interest, then they will understand that if somebody is in charge of their country or their state and is not serving them well, the only opportunity we've given them is the opportunity of the vote. Imagine if we had not timed our processes here, if we had not said governors and president cannot go more than 2 terms. It would then mean that by the level of voter apathy that we have here, one person will just sit down there and be manipulating the process and will be continuing because the people have not accepted that it is their right to give him the authority, but it's also their right to withdraw the authority from him. So I think that on-air personality, journalists, politicians, the entire society must constantly explain to our people the most important responsibility you have on election day is to show up and vote. Every other thing can be discussed after you have done your own civic duty. Not doing it for whatever reason, you have shortchanged the whole society. That's what I would like to say. Thank you.
All right, Professor Olugbero, I would like to respond to any of those questions raised by the participants, especially the caller who called in to ask about voter apathy. That is Bruno.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to talk about the problem of credible election, which we seem not to have. And somebody had asked, is it really possible to have credible election? And I think, yes, it is possible. Now, if you look at the statistics, it's only 20% of those who registered for election, for voting, that eventually voted. So when we talk about apathy, it means that 80% of the people feel totally alienated. And why is it like that? People don't believe in the system. And does that translate to any change? No. Now, politicians are catching in on that. They are taking the most. So if the other 80 people who don't vote still decide not to vote, politicians don't wish they will vote because they are the ones that are complaining the most. So that takes me back to the voter education I'm talking about. Politicians or political party will not lead that noble cause. They will not want it to happen. So it is government and the civil society organizations that we are left with. People, government that genuinely wants a change, government that is interested in changing the narrative of bad leadership in Nigeria should try as much as possible to educate the people. Otherwise, politicians are okay, political parties are happy with just those 20% who are voting. They manipulate them, they take advantage of their ignorance, and they smile to the bank every time. So, until we make that education happen, the people who feel alienated, who don't vote, they are helping the politicians at the end of the day, unknown to them. So government needs to make sure that at least 2 years before any election, there is massive education. There is reorientation. There is people are encouraged to know their rights, and people are encouraged to go out to vote. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll give room for one more call and then some other questions. We have Salisu Fumi, who's raising hands there. Please kindly unmute Salisu. The number to call is 0906 0992609 or 0704 100 7949. Our WhatsApp is 0915 849 4949. Text us there or send us a voice note, please. Kindly unmute Salusi Fumi for us.
Okay. Maybe as we wait for that, the chief servant has not taken his turn.
All right, Chief Servant, please kindly react to any of these questions.
There was a question that was asking, what happens when there is an overvoting at a particular unit? I think the electoral guideline, apart from the act, the guidelines will show you what to do. But where the overvoting is massive, I believe that all the agents of the political parties and the electoral officers there will agree to cancel that particular unit. But again, the guideline is specific on what to do where there is an overvoting. Then there was a question also, or rather, I think my friend Otumba raised the issues and beautifully about presidents, about governors, about local government chairmen. What we have seen so far, yes, a lot of money going, but then a lot of money also going elsewhere. A lot of money going to local governments, a lot of money going to states, but again, a lot of money going to the federal government, but again, a lot of money going elsewhere where it's not helping the people. So what do we do? I would suggest, in addition to the audit and auditors, that we will agree to have an independent commission that will be following down on the budget implementation, and the expenditure of each of these tier of government. If we do that, at least there will be an annual submission to the National Assembly of each one, or of the State Assembly of each unit or local government, what they have done with the money, how they have done it, how they have expended it, and co. Otherwise, yes, you will see a lot of money, but there are no jobs done to justify the amount of money given. So I believe that that is the way to go about it. In addition, the professor here said, and I'm happy he said, we can do it. We can have credible elections, but that is if we all come together and thinking alike to say that we are tired of what we have been seeing on the ground, and we want something new. We want something credible. We want something acceptable for the whole nation.
Well, thank you very much.
Salisu's hand is still up. If you can unmute, or else
I think the problem is from the other end. Okay. And for the consideration of our time, let me thank the chief servant. It's been a very long journey. There's a lot of back and forth, and finally you are here. And I want to also appreciate my friend Umar Sani, who did a lot for me. Umar Sani, by the way, was special advisor media and information to the former Vice President Namadi Sambo. He facilitated the contact, and I'm very grateful. Chief Servant, thank you. I hope if we invite you again, you will not mind to come.
Oh, no, anytime.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I want to thank my friend too, OTUNBA Segun Showunmi, the Shagua of Ireland. Thank you so much. OTUNBA is always a public commentator. If you wake him up from his sleep, he will not mind, as long as it is about Nigeria. Thank you so much, OTUNBA.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for all you do. Thank you for all you do.
I appreciate that as a compliment. And last but not the least, my brother and friend, Professor OLUGBENRO OYEKAN, from your UK base. Thank you so much. You are always thinking Nigeria. I appreciate you, and I hope we can do it again. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you. As we round up, I want to mention that Boiling Point Arena is a public trust. It's for the betterment of the Nigerian nation. There have been some perception in time past against government. This platform, rather than being against government, is to help government in terms of feedback. And in two key areas, this platform has done some major things. The ASU issue, for example, when you see professors now go to any university, they may not have fully acceded to all their demands, but there is some kind of quietness, there's some kind of, that thumbs up that government has at least acceded to their demand. It is partly because of that particular discourse we did that featured, what is the name of it, Professor, the former Vice Chancellor of University of Ife, Professor Wande Abimbola. He made headlines. Those things went viral when he said that what professors get as salary in a month, 500,000, 600,000, is what is Gardner will just throw 3 hours job. He takes that money, and I think that got to government, and with even the Minister of Education, Alausa, Dr. Alausa, the role of some of these discourses is to get attention of government in a way that they can understand. There was also another one that was done even early this year, and there have been results. I can't really remember them. So keep it coming. Even the police, as an organization, can come and feature Boiling Point. Customs, as an organization, JAMP, as an organization, can come feature on Boiling Point Arena, and we interrogate the frequently asked questions. What is preventing performance? Immigration, everyone like that. So I state that we are for the Nigerian people. We are here for the betterment of the society, and I want to especially convey appreciation to our media partners, particularly the many radio stations. We are now about 7, and special thanks to Wash 94.9 FM, hosting the Situation Room all the time. We appreciate you. We cannot thank you enough. Sweet FM, Root FM, and all the other radio stations. Thank you so much. And last but not the least, you all who stayed glued, you are the reason why we are here. All our participants, I am clapping for you. Thank you so much. Next month, second Sunday of any month, we are always here. Only God knows what we are bringing, but you can be sure, by the grace of God, we will be here. I think that's the size of our package. Thank you so much. GAIUS?
Thank you very much. It's been very nice doing this. Let's do this again. Lagos, next month. Have a very good time.